So I recently set a goal for myself to journal for 100 days. And you'd think after 100 days of journaling, I would have everything figured out, but that's not really how it works. To sit here and pretend that I'll know exactly what you'll get out of journaling would be a lie, but I can tell you a little bit about my experience journaling. And I am actually going to be reading from a journal for some of this. I came into journaling thinking I understood myself pretty well, but I was hoping for more clarity. I tend to have more avoidant tendencies when it comes to emotions, but this is something I've been working on for a while. I like the idea of just saying whatever comes to mind and being able to objectively see what I was feeling. It can be easy to gaslight your feelings and get confused about dynamics in a situation if you let it all stay in your head. For me, journaling was a practice of communication, for myself, but also with others too. I think one of the best things I did while journaling was pretend I was talking to those around me. If I was in a situation that was bringing up emotions, I would journal like I was directly talking to the person involved. Not only was this helpful in addressing my emotions to begin with, but it gave me time to take a step back from them. I feel like a lot of times communication between two people can get confusing and messy when it's led by strong emotions. In these cases, it's easier to blame others for our emotions, but when you take the time to write it out and explore it from all angles, including another person's perspective, then you can approach the situation fully understanding yourself and what you're trying to communicate. I've found through experience that trying to communicate with strong emotions that aren't well thought out tends to lead to more hurt feelings and miscommunication. Therefore, it gives the opposite outcome of what we hoped for when initiating communication to begin with. I would encourage everyone to look into attachment styles and figuring out what ways those tendencies play out for you. Figuring this out and being able to reflect on it while journaling has allowed me to understand how that plays a role in my relationships. When you understand your patterns and tendencies, that's when you're able to work on showing up in a more secure way. And the more you understand yourself and other relationships, the easier it becomes to navigate them. Because we've all grown up with experiences that shape how our brain reacts and navigates situations. Some of these patterns might not be serving you anymore, but first we need to open up our awareness to them. Journaling is useful for things like stress relief, self-confidence, memory, and mood, but it can be used as a big tool for self-growth when you put that intention behind it. Honestly, I think we live in a world where it's a lot easier to not address the emotions that we have inside of us because of the way we're forced to function in order to survive in society. We do kind of have to push a little or big piece of ourselves to the side in order to keep grinding every day, which is why I think journaling is just that much more important, because the longer we stay stuck in these systems without understanding it, the more we're losing our autonomy as people. And I think it's really powerful to be able to understand yourself rather than going through life, just letting life happen to you. You're curating your experience to be something you actually enjoy. I can't tell you how many times I've journaled about capitalism and how it just destroys my spirit. It's hard being aware of something and feeling like you can't do much about it, but I also think that's the censor inside of us telling us to stay in what we know. But by exploring these hard emotions and ideas, we are then able to figure out a way of living that doesn't feel so rough. It's like the work you have to do up front in order to benefit you further down the line. Because I don't want to get to a point later in life where I don't understand myself and I don't know what I want. And to come to that realization when it feels like it's too late is more scary to me than dealing with this shit right now. And it's not to say that journaling is easy, because it takes a lot of mental and emotional energy to not only sit with those thoughts in the moment, but to come back to them time and time again without a quick solution. But the more time that you put into journaling, the more confident you become in your opinions and beliefs. The more you explore something, the more creative you're able to become with how you navigate the situations. All I'm saying is you bitches need to journal. It's important to know yourself. It's important to understand yourself. And don't let all these systems distract you from you. Whose life is this? I think in some ways it's okay to be a little selfish with what you want out of this life, because you are the only one experiencing your experience. You could put two people in the same situation and they could have a totally different experience. I think everybody has something that holds them back, and it's really cool to be aware of what that is, so maybe one day we can get to the point where we don't feel limited by these beliefs we have in our brains. The thing that sparked journaling for me to begin with was starting to read The Artist's Way, and through that they have practices of writing 3 morning pages a day. And through those morning pages, you're basically just supposed to word vomit whatever you're thinking. It doesn't matter the content of what you say necessarily. And while I did do that sometimes throughout my 100 days of journaling, I also took the days to actually dive deep into certain thoughts and to think about what I was struggling with and addressing that. Because I think everybody gets avoidant with shit that's hard to deal with, and it's understandable. But just think of it like a big boss, you know? You're overcoming the big boss of your brain, aka your censor, aka the voice that tells you you're not good enough or you can't do something. Because that's all just made up. That little voice in your head, it's not real. The initial negative thoughts that our brain feeds us is not something to necessarily believe. And journaling helps you question what is reality and what is your insecurities and what is the truth. What is your truth? I was really set on making this goal of 100 days, and then I didn't journal for quite a while. 3 weeks to be exact. But honestly, I think it's okay, because I think it was a needed break for me. I was so set on doing 3 pages for 100 days. But then afterwards, I was able to reflect a little bit and realize that it's more of the content of what I'm saying rather than the quantity of what I was saying. Although through The Artist's Way, they encourage you to do morning pages every single day. No matter what you say, you can just say bullshit. You could repeat the same thing on the page and it could be fine, you know? But this just made me want to be a little more intentional with what I write down, because it's easy to have the blurt out thoughts. But it's a little bit harder to dig deep into something and question it. So moving forward, I want to be a little more intentional with how I journal. So I won't be journaling every day. I won't be tracking it with numbers, but it is still an important habit that I would like to continue. And I'm going to be honest, before I started journaling these 100 pages, I didn't journal at all. I think I tried journaling when I was like 12. I had this little diary with a lock on it, which is kind of slay, honestly. But I was so afraid that somebody would find my journal and read my personal thoughts. And I was so embarrassed by the thought of that I just didn't journal at all. So if you've never journaled or never journaled consistently, try it out. It could be good for you. I said a lot, but also not a lot. But if you take anything from this, you should journal. Just try it out. Just sit with your thoughts a little bit. Sit with yourself. See what's going up in that little dome of yours. It'll be good for you, I promise. Thanks for watching.